How we doing today, guys? Sam back with this week's fishing report for you guys. A lot of cool stuff going on there, but let's talk about our big sale coming up. So on the 19th and 20th, going to be our biggest sales of the year, our huge customer appreciation event that we do every year. It's going to be store-wide sales in every department, so great time to come in, check those out, pick up a few things, and get some good deals there. So I think starting out, what most folks have been having the most fun with is the shallow water rockfish bite that we have in our rivers around here this time of the year. It's a great time to get out there because we have a lot of those fish coming in shallow. So if you're fishing from shoreline up in the rivers, you have any public access on the Magothy, the Severn, all that kind of stuff, you can have some fun in the mornings and evenings with topwaters and subsurface lures. So really hard to beat just the classic topwater spook. These are from Spro. These are some of my favorite topwater plugs that we have. We actually have them on closeout now for like $10, and it's like a $15 lure, so it's a great time to pick these up. Black, a lot of people look at this and they're like, what fish looks like black? Well, none of them really, but the idea behind black is that it's a great contrast color. It's something the fish that can see really well. You know, when we're looking at surface baits, you got to look at the sky above. So something like black, you got a nice cloudy sky, you can really see black really well against that gray sky. Some of the other colors like white might just blend right in. Doesn't mean the fish won't come up and eat those white plugs, but a lot of times they have a little bit harder time getting a hold of it and getting a good bite on it, and you end up losing those fish. So a big bright color like this, a big black, or something like orange, like a bone is usually a white top with a bone, the orange belly. Great colors this time of the year. I like spooks most of the time. If it's a little bit choppier out there, you could of course step up and fish a popper, which comes through the chop on the water a little bit better, something like a smack it or a classic storm. Really good options there for you. Other than that, a lot of times that bite, the topwater bite, starts to die off after a little bit. The sun starts to pick up. Doesn't mean those fish have necessarily left the area, but they might not be clued into those fish on the surface. A lot of times fishing a subsurface bait like a small paddle tail like this is a great option. This is just a little 5-inch Z-Man diesel minnow. These are some really cool heads from Z-Man here. They are a weedless version. So a lot of times, especially in the Magothy, we've had some terrific grass in the river, which is great. But a lot of times it's hard to get a jig head through that. So fishing something like this where you can rig the bait weedless can be really effective this time of the year at helping you kind of get through that grass that's starting to die off. Areas to do this in, they've been doing really well in the South River. Really well in the Severn. The Magothy's a little bit behind as far as the topwater bite from what I've been seeing, but it should be here soon. October is the best month for this, so really good time to get out in your rivers. However, if you want to go out in the big water and fish out on the bay side, it's still great fishing this time of the year. It's a great time of the year to really vary what you're doing, whether you want to troll, you want to bait fish, there's still spot around, or if you want to cast lures and find those schooled up fish and jig. It's a great time of the year to do that. North of the bridge, all the way up towards like the mouth of the Patapsco have been really good. So target the mouths of the rivers. You hear me talk about this a lot this time of the year, but it's so important. The LY hatch every year in the spring, and they're really tiny. Well, this time of the year, they're starting to get to that 3 to 5 inch range. And a lot of times in the summer, the rockfish like to feed on the small rain bait, the little bay anchovies, silver minnows, whatever you want to call them. Well, a lot of those start to head out of the bay this time of the year as it gets cooled down. So the number one forage is going to be the small peanut bunker. And these fish are kind of pouring in and out of the rivers this time of the year, this bait fish. So getting set up around the mouths of the rivers, finding any sort of contours in the 20 to 35, 40 foot of water, you can a lot of times find these schooled up rockfish, which is fun to jig on, or if you want to troll and cover water, you can do that as well. As far as jigs go, it's just your basic stuff. 6 to 7 inch straight tail baits paired up with a 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce jig, kind of depending on the depth and the current that you have. As far as colors, we usually keep them pretty simple, guys. Chartreuse, your whites. Natural colors do really well on more of those overcast days. Brighter tones really do well on those sunnier days. So great fishing out there north of the bridge for your stripers. Let's talk about perch. So perch is starting to slow down a little bit in the rivers. Doesn't mean you still can't find perch, but a lot of them are starting to push off of the banks a little bit with these cooler evenings. And we're starting to see them more on hard bottom within the rivers. Any sort of oyster reefs and that 8 to 12, 14 feet of water can be really good for you. There's a lot of opportunities for that in the Severn and the Magothy. There's some oyster balls that are marked by big red buoys like this. You'll see them all out in the rivers. That's a great spot to go check out. They usually have some oyster structure there, a little bit deeper water, hard bottom. We're not usually fishing perch pounders and small casting lures there. We're usually using a little bit heavier stuff like small sting silvers or jigging spoons, cast masters, or fishing like a bottom rig with bait or Chesapeake sabiki that you can jig in place there. It's a great fishing for perch, but it's starting to be that time where we want to look off the shorelines for them. So I think the coolest thing going on right now is crabbing. Crabbing's been terrific here in the Magothy and the Severn the past couple of weeks, especially this week. Guys have been doing terrific. So it's a great time to get out there and maybe get on that last good run of your crabs. So we're starting to push a little bit deeper with some of our baits. Instead of putting them in that 4 to 7 foot range we do in the summer, maybe moving out a little bit to 8 to 10, even 12 foot if you get a little bit cooler day out there. Crabbing is just doing a little bit better deeper. So if you want to run your traps, your trout line, still a great time. Just start looking for some deeper water. As you progress down the bay, things are starting to slow down, at least on the big bull drum side and cobia side and Maryland waters for sure. You still do have an opportunity if you want to head down towards the Virginia side of the bay, all the way down towards the tunnel. You can still get into some of those bigger migratory fish that we see here, but it has slowed down, at least in Maryland waters for them. But the puppy drum bite hasn't. Those smaller redfish from the 8 inches all the way up to your almost slot sized fish are still being caught. Even all the way up here a little bit. We saw some really good action with that in August. However, they're starting to push down a little bit more. So if you're looking for those puppy drum, your smaller underslot redfish, you can still find them in the shallows, kind of fishing like you would for perch, but maybe a little bit bigger presentation. Instead of like a little 1/8 ounce spinner bait for your perch, maybe going up to something like a 1/4 ounce. Really fun for those puppy drum for you. That just about wraps it up on Bayside. It's a great time of the year to go freshwater fishing if you haven't started doing that yet. We have some great lakes on the shore. There's tons of mill ponds. You go to DNR's website, you can see them. We have Johnson's Pond, Leonard's Pond, Unicorn Lake. There's all sorts of these small 5, 10, 15, 20 acre lakes over there that can be really good this time of the year. There's all sorts of stuff in there. There's pickerel, there's bass, there's crappie, there's bluegill. A lot of fun to be had there, and it's a great time to fish for these fish, especially bass. Bass fishing is always great in the fall. You have the big shad rush, as a lot of folks will call it, where these fish really start to key in on those shad that are getting bigger, kind of like we see with the rockfish, the LY hatches in the creeks in the springtime. And now it's 3 to 4, 5 inches. Well, the same thing with the shads in some of those lakes. So great time to get out there. Spinner baits are great this time of the year. Lipless crankbaits, things that really look like small shad. Great bet for you. So best of luck out there, guys, and we hope to see you for our big customer appreciation event. Once again, that's the 19th and 20th of October. Thanks, guys, and best of luck out there.